Well, it's Saturday, and I finally have time to work on the Tigershark again. I decided to start out my morning by installing the hose and filler cap to the oil injection system. If you remember in my first video, if it wasn't for me saving this Tigershark, it would have ended up in the dump being recycled. In order for the dump to be able to accept this jet ski, they required the owner to remove the oil tank and associated hoses, hence the reason why they were removed. Now that the filler cap and hose went in pretty easily, all that's left to do is rivet the filler cap to the body. On my replacement oil injection line, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut all this to length. I'm still waiting on a few gaskets to arrive for my exhaust pipe in one of my intake manifolds. While we're waiting on the parts, now is a good time to install the exhaust manifold. I'm cleaning up the mating surfaces of the exhaust manifold using a razor blade. Razor blades do an excellent job of cleaning up the mating surfaces for the gaskets and ensure you will have a good seal. Once I finish cleaning up these surfaces, it will be ready to install along with the water box. Before I get started on installing the exhaust system, first thing I'm going to do is get this big water box in there first. Put the exhaust system in. If I install that first, it takes up a lot of space. And I think it'll be harder to maneuver that water box in there, so I think it's just best that I get that going first. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on that. Got the water box in there. Just got to put the hose clamp on and the two bungee straps. Okay, started to get the exhaust pipe on. Just got the water lines connected. Now I just need to put on the nuts to the studs, and then I'll grab the pipe and we'll get that installed. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the nuts for it and get it all tightened up. Before I go any further, I want to make sure this thing can at least turn over. So I got the battery hooked up. Cool, everything looks good. This package just arrived for the Tigershark jet ski. Pretty excited. Can you guess what it is? I'm sure you can, because I've talked about it in my prior videos. It's a set of carburetors. Finally worked out a decent deal on a set of good clean carburetors on eBay. I got these for about $100 shipped. They looked like the cleanest set that I could find that was on there, and the seller looked like he was a reputable guy. But I'm not going to install these as is. I always like to go through carburetors. I want to make sure the jets are clean, make sure the pop-off pressure is all good and set, and make sure the needle and seat is good as well. So before I install these, we're going to go through these. And the other thing we need to go through is the fuel pump. This is the fuel pump for these carburetors, and we need to make sure that this fuel pump is working properly. So in the next video, I'll show you guys how to test this. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Alright guys, I got everything laid out here to test the fuel pump in my Tigershark jet ski. And in order to do that, what you're going to need is a vacuum pump. So I purchased this Mighty Vac right on the internet, and it's got an option for both testing vacuum and pressure. It's got a little toggle switch here, and that's pressure and that's vacuum. Really impressed with the quality, solid build quality here. But in order to test it, what we need to do is we need to connect this vacuum pump to the pulse fitting on the fuel pump. So let me connect that right there. And the shop manual is telling me that the diaphragm in this fuel pump needs to hold 5 inches of mercury for 10 seconds. And that's a unit of measurement on my gauge here. So that'd be 5 inches of mercury. So I'm going to go ahead and put a vacuum on this. And it's got to hold that for 10 seconds. Looks like it's holding pressure. I don't see it bleeding or leaking. So, hasn't been quite 10 seconds yet. Now it has. So it looks like the diaphragm in my fuel pump is fine. So that'll save me another 70 bucks. So I won't have to buy a new one. I'll just throw a coat of paint on this to make it look pretty again. But it's still holding pressure. It's barely bleeding anything off. That's great. So the next thing that we need to do is, in the next video, in part 6, I'll go through these carburetors. We'll get them all cleaned up and get them ready for install. Alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and end part 5 here. So long.